Well, hello. And here it is, completed. As promised, make sure you can see it everywhere. The IS3. There we go. I'm going to go a little slower because there's a lot of parts that come apart on here. So let me give you the good detailed looks of the actual tank. There. As best as I can. And like I said, I'm going to go slow because it will fall apart. There are a lot of small detailed parts. There's the actual tank, the actual book. And please, if you do decide to buy this tank and purchase it, go build it slowly and read every little detail and stuff. When I did this tank, I was trying to rush it up at the end, I had some issues. Yikes. This is the turret. One of the seats fell off, pulling the turret out. Well, there's some interior pieces right here that would hold this, okay? I missed three parts that make the bracings for that. I had to disassemble this whole turret to fix that because I was rushing through. And as I tell everybody in the videos, pay attention, and I actually wasn't, so bad thing on me. But now that I have it down, look at the detail on this. There is another seat. It fell off into the tank when I pulled the turret out, and I will try to get it for in a second. There we go. I strive for perfection whenever I can. There you go. There's both seats. And the actual tank commander holding a Makarov pistol. Let me do that better too. Sorry about that. Holding a Makarov pistol. And then let me give you a look at the actual tank itself with the turret off. This one is slightly different than the others because there are a lot of little pieces and parts in the detailed interior. I'm going to put the turret down safely because I will reassemble all of it. Let you have a look at the interior. Very detailed. And the fuel tanks just came off. This tank is kind of different in that it has so many workable pieces on it that they fall off. So I'm not going to disturb and redo some of this video. I'm just going to keep winging it through. I'm going to tighten these back on. I'd like to show you the engine bay. The engine bay on this one, a particular note, is extremely detailed. It's a 12-cylinder diesel, V2 diesel, whatever it was that they called. There we go. But look at that. The engine comes out, but I'm not going to take it out. So if I take it out, I could have some serious issues. There are too many small parts with this, which is a nice thing for detail, but like for display play, like we want to do here, if you want to do videos and stuff, not as easy to do. So you want to like kind of be a bit gingerly with it. If it does come apart, it's not an issue because you just put it back together again. That's the beauty of Cobi's models. But I want to make this a little bit better so you can see it and see all the detail. And basically, I'm doing a little bit of work with it. And I'm going to show you it to you with the hatch closed. And there's the underside. And then the actual whole tank itself. And about this tank. Basically, towards the end of the war, the Soviets were using the IS-2, which had a bigger turret, higher profile, similar suspension to the IS-3. It was developed in 1944. It was a semi-hemispherical cast turret, frying pan turret, which would be used in later Soviet tanks. It has a pike nose, which is that nose that you see there, angle of deflection to the side. Um, it was in came in too late to serve in World War II. But what happened with this tank is they had a victory parade in Berlin in 1945, and they had like 23 or 25 of these tanks come through, and it just frightened everybody. They were big, loud, with this big 122 millimeter gun, and we only had Chaffee tanks, I believe, on in the parade. And I know the British might have had, I don't know, Sherman tanks or Cromwell tanks. And when I saw this, definitely we have to have a heavy tank of our own. But basically, weight wise, this thing, I mean, not much in terms of weight off from the German tanks that it fought against. It has some mobility about it. Um, it was used also after World War II. It was used in the Soviet invasion of Hungary in 1956. I don't know if it was used in the invasion of Czechoslovakia in 1967. It was used in the Six-Day War and in the Yom Kippur War when Israel was fighting the various Arab states that were going up against it. And it's a beast. It's got very good armor. It has an extremely powerful gun that still can penetrate armor. And in fact, a little factoid here. They at the beginning of the Ukraine war, the Ukrainians used, I believe, one of these. They took it off a display, got it going, gassed her up, and sent her out to go out and fight. It has a pretty much low profile because of the way the suspension is on this, so it gives you a better footprint. So you're like not like getting stuck in a stuck in a mud thing, and this tank would have done pretty good. The problem with it is they kept trying to upgrade it and do different various changes to the tank and modifications, and they found it easier instead of doing that. And basically, what they were doing is every time they upped one of these, they changed them a bit. Like changed the suspension on some. It wound up becoming the T10, the last variant of this, and they still have some of those around. But basically, this tank is named after Joseph Stalin. IS means Joseph Stalin. Number 3 means tank number 3. When Stalin died and Nikita Khrushchev became leader, they took all the monikers of Stalin off of everything because Stalin was a tyrant, and they were going to downgrade him in a secret speech in 1956, but that's really no relevancy to this. With the exception that in 1956, these tanks were used to crush the Hungarian rebellion against communist rule. And this tank, I mean, extremely modern. It had some issues with it, but I mean, they all did. This can be serviced in the field just like all the American tanks. So German tanks are kind of like buying an Audi, a German car now. You need a specialized mechanic and specialized parts and blah, blah, blah to make them work. And the whole thing with World War II is you want the tanks to function in the field. And American tanks, British tanks, and the Soviet tanks could do that. They could function in the field. You could take them apart. The gun on this, I'll show you something here. See the front, I'm going to get my hand out of the way. Could be taken out in the field and replaced with a new gun. Not as easy to do with some of the German tanks, but American tanks are the same way. And this was a battle-ready tank, and it would have performed well had it got a chance to fight in combat. Any combat that it had was like limited to whatever theater it was in and what they were doing, and could be like a static armor piece dug in, or it might be out there engaging other tanks. But basically, this tank did not have a big service life like that. The gun is 122 millimeter. It carried 28 rounds with inside. It had a coaxial machine gun, 30 cal, 7.62 millimeter on the side. It's a V2 VK 2 V12 diesel engine, and basically it had a lot of potential with it if it were to be encountered in a battlefield, but it wasn't. It was there when it came out at the end of the war. It didn't fight in combat, but what it did was it frightened the NATO countries into building bigger, better tanks, because I'm like, how are we going to overcome something like this if we're fighting? And it's just what happens. And the thing is, the tank itself, I'll just talk. You can look at the tank. I mean, there's some aesthetic beauty to it, and really good engineering. It's a shame they couldn't see what it could do and stuff. But hey, the thing was, it had its place in time and history, and I'm showing it to you now. As far as a build for the Cobi kits, I say this is probably one of their best. I mean, I have not built their Tiger, but I know some of you had, and this is a better build. Definitely worth the $100 that they charge for this. So if you're looking for a gift and you want to build one, see if someone will gift you one or get one yourself, I would definitely recommend it. It was a good build, and wound up coming up pretty nice. And so I'm happy with it, and I hope other people will be happy with it. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I built something else after this, and I will have another video with that real quick so I can have more of these on. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.